Hello, welcome to See Blissfully Lit podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have Miss Beautiful Crystal Bui here with us today. She is an authentic embodiment coach, and one of her passions is bringing power, passion, and purpose into the lives of amazing spiritual women. Welcome, Crystal. Could you start by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Hi, guys. I'm Crystal. It's such an honor to be here with you, Sammy. Yeah, I am an authentic embodiment coach, and it is my mission to bring women back home to their hearts, to the truth of who they are, their authentic expression, their power, their passion, their purpose, so that they can live radiant, fulfilled, meaningful lives and spread their light in the world. I really love seeing people embody their light, more and more of their light, and spreading that, igniting the spark within other people through inspiration, through just their simple embodiment of themselves.
And I love that. That goes so deeply intertwined with the theme of this podcast. And one of the biggest things that I really push is being raw, being authentic, not editing, just coming in and being yourself and embracing what the self is. And I love that you have taken this to a career level, to a space where you really embody it yourself. And I believe that in embodying it yourself, you're showing others how to really let it shine within them. Thank you so much. It's amazing. Um, so before we dive into this episode any further, I'd love for you to share what magic means to you and how it plays a role in your journey.
That's a great question. So, magic to me is ever present, and it's almost like the webbing underneath reality within the universe. And it shows up in our lives when we're really open to it. And the more open we are to it, the more magic shows up in our lives. And we ourselves are actually quite magical in that we have the ability to create and alter reality through just updating like our own embodiment, our own beliefs of how we perceive the world. And so magic is all of life, really. When you're really deeply present to everything, every moment, there's magic everywhere.
Thank you for sharing what magic means to you. When you describe magic being everywhere, what's a key moment or an experience that really allowed you to grasp that understanding?
Hmm. There's so many. My life is just completely full of synchronicities, and I would call that magic
I
because
would call it
it
that
is
too.
so sometimes just utterly profoundly coincidental, but it can't be because sometimes it's just so magical, you know? I'll start with just the simplest example that occurs to me on a regular basis is when I'm just living my life, right? In the middle of a task, perhaps, and suddenly somebody pops into my mind, and it's very intrusive almost. Like it's almost like it comes out of nowhere. And I just know, oh, this person's gonna reach out to me. Like they're thinking about me right now. And sure enough, I hear from them shortly after. And this happens so regularly. It was happening, when it first started happening, I was like, whoa, this is wild. And then it became such a normal occurrence that I was like, oh yeah, no, I know exactly when somebody's thinking about me. Because it's just, I mean, how do you explain that? Somebody even that I haven't thought of for a while, and they pop into my mind, and then I hear from them, you can't explain.
Yeah,
It's like there's such a deep interconnectedness of everything. And there's energy just flowing, all the time between people. And I guess I've just gotten better at picking up on it, you know? I don't know.
it's
Yeah.
very intriguing. It's very intriguing. The way you describe it, it reminds me of the roots of the trees, or you know how they describe how fungi connect underneath the ground.
The mycelial network. Yeah, totally. That in itself is magical. Like, think about that. And they're big. Some of them are miles long, these mycelial networks. And it's all just like these little beings, these plant beings, like all connected and interwoven. It's incredible. Nature is magical.
Oh, totally. And so many are, you know, happily unaware that even plants, they have a certain level of consciousness, and they're out here sending their messages to each other, just like
Yeah,
you're receiving messages from your friends.
exactly. We're all connected to this mycelial network.
It's
Yeah.
super beautiful. So I have one more question,
Mhm.
somewhat related to this, but we're moving a little bit more into your life and how you found your path in this journey.
Mm.
Could you share a story of a turning point in your life that transformed your path toward conscious living?
Yeah, it was a very specific moment. And I was in a place where I had, you know, all of these accomplishments. I had a corporate job that was, in a pretty elevated position. And I had a sports car. I had a boyfriend. I lived next to a lake. Like I had all of these things that I thought I was supposed to have, like the American dream, but I was so depressed. I mean, I was borderline suicidal. And it was hard to function because I was just breaking down all the time and crying often. And I wouldn't even know why. I would just be a mess. And I just knew that this was not the way life was supposed to be. Like there had to be more than this. And so I was just lost for a while. I was coping through drugs and alcohol and partying and just like numbing out, right? I'd work my corporate job on the weekdays, and on the weekends I'd party my ass off and numb out. And yeah, it was at a point where somebody I knew had this email address, and it was vibrate higher. And I was confused. I was like, what does that mean to vibrate higher? And I don't want to ask them, right? I was like, I'm just going to figure this out myself. So I Googled it. And this is where I learned about energy and vibrational frequency and what it means to vibrate at a higher frequency and vibrate at a lower frequency and what can affect that. And that we are these energetic beings. And it was when I discovered the term light worker that something clicked. And it was just like a remembrance, like, oh, okay, okay, that's what I'm here for. Because since I was little, I'd always felt deep in my bones like I'm here for something. There's a mission I'm on. I don't know what it is, but I know I'm here for something. And I could just see that the world wasn't going great. I'm like I've always been deeply sensitive. And I just was feeling everyone's pain all the time. And I just knew like this can't be it. Like there has to be more than this. Like this is not our capacity. All the pain and suffering that's happening in the world. And so then when I discovered that, it was like, okay, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to bring light. And I didn't really know. what that meant. I just knew it sparked fire in me and curiosity. And so I went down this rabbit hole of learning everything I could get my hands on, you know, metaphysics, quantum physics, psychology, somatics, energy, everything. Every healing modality that I could get my hands on. You know, I was just so excited because I was like, this is what I'm passionate about, like learning about this stuff so that I can heal myself, so I can improve my life. And then sure enough, when I started doing that, I mean, I am a completely different person. And to see that I was able to do that for myself, I was sure, like, if I can do this for me, other people can do this too. Like, there's hope for everyone, you know? And so that was where I became passionate. And I knew, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I've spent hours and hours studying this stuff so that I can support people in doing the same. Because we all get to have this. Like, we all get to be in love with ourselves, with life, with, sparked with passion and joy and feeling free to be ourselves. Yeah, so that's where it all started, was that pivotal moment.
Crystal, thank you so much for sharing that really deeper moment in your life that caused the transition. I relate to that sort of a kind of a darker side that you came out of uh, from personal experience myself. And it's so amazing what light you brought to it. And you're continuing to shine brighter and brighter as you ignite the lives of others. Of these techniques, what techniques would you say you specifically use now and work the best for you, for your clients?
So I actually created my own healing modality called neural remapping. It's basically a fusion, a synthesis of everything that I've studied and learned, because I was seeing that, okay, mindset work is great, but it's missing the body component. And so I wanted to merge the two and our spirit. So it's like a mind, body, spirit upgrade, and really reclaiming the parts of ourselves that are fragmented so we can come back to love. And outside of that, the most simplistic thing that I do is simply to just love the parts of me that hurt. Like, if anybody wants to get started on healing right now, today, without having to learn anything, they just have to love the parts of themselves that hurt and love them back into wholeness. It is that simple. And, for me, it was hard because I I don't want to say it was hard. It was a learning curve because I didn't know how to hold space for my inner child, and those are the parts that were hurting, the parts of my inner child that maybe at the age of 7 was abandoned and didn't receive love or have a need that was met, right? And she held on to it and fragmented from love, from the core of who I am. And so, you know, there was this nuance that I was missing in holding space for myself, in that I would be like, I'm just gonna love this until it goes away. And that subtlety was creating even just a little bit of resistance and not allowing myself to, like, love that piece of me back into wholeness. And so I had to learn how to just allow and tell her, you get to be as sad as you want for as long as you want, and I'm just here. And I'm just here and I'm loving you, and you take as much time and space as you need. And then suddenly these parts of me would feel safe. And then they would unravel, and the energy would move, and then it would, like, settle, and then that was it. Just the full allowance of her to feel what she needed to feel, while I lovingly held presence for her, allowed those pieces of me to just be loved back into wholeness. And it can really be that simple. You know?
So, for somebody who maybe isn't that sensitive or doesn't really understand energy, or perhaps they're sitting here like, uh, I don't have an inner child that wants to let anything out. Could you kind of describe how that might work, how that could unravel, like with a specific scenario, like maybe a sensation in the body, a thought, subconscious?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, our body is a map of the subconscious mind, which is where all of our trauma, patterning, and programs live. And so when we can listen to the body through its sensations or lack thereof, even numbness is technically a signal from the body. And so if we just listen and are fully present and curious, not trying to get rid of or shame or reject what we're noticing in the body, but just noticing and being curious and open to what could be there. And so the way I do it is, if I'm feeling an emotion, right? Something gets triggered. Maybe I'm getting a little annoyed. I just ask, where does this live in my body? And then I notice where my body's signaling to me it is. And it'll often feel like a contraction. It could be anything, though. It could be any type of sensation is a signal from the body. And so just getting curious, okay, what's here? You know, what is this part of me feeling? Maybe it's the only impressions I can receive are colors, textures, movement, or maybe it's an emotion, maybe it's a memory. It could be anything. And it's really just staying open and curious to what is there and just listening so deeply with love and continuing to lean in with love because, when things start to get kind of uncomfortable, it's easy to lean away, right? We want to lean away and resist. But if we can just lean in with love, oh, no, I'm here. Like, let me be with you, right? Like, exactly like you would to a child. Like, how would you want a child to be fully held in their pain? It's like that.
Mhm. That's so beautiful. And having done work with you, which I think that the work you do is incredible, and I commend you on it. I see it flourishing, I see it growing, and it has made an amazing, amazing impact on my life. Um, I'd like to know if you could share a little bit more about, so after you experience that love and you hold that space for that child, what else happens in the process?
So with neural remapping, it's a little more complicated of a process because we're going into reprogramming the mind and, working with the energy in the body and the emotions. But from anybody who wants to learn to just like love themselves back into wholeness, it's really just full surrender, full allowing. That might mean, you know, you feel anger and heat in your body. That might mean you have tears that want to come out. That might mean your body might want to shake or move. And it's really just like listening and allowing like, just get weird. Like, let it rip. It's is what I love. Like just letting the full expression of whatever wants to come out of you. Maybe you want to curl up in a ball, like whatever, you know? And you can also just invite them, that part of you, to emote, as if you're speaking to a child and just saying, hey, feel as sad as you want. Emote fully, like just let it out. And I'm just going to be here to like fully witness and love you through it. Like really embody what it is to be like unconditional love without judging or shaming how they feel and just being deeply compassionate for this part of you, this little boy, little girl, little being that just wants your love, just wanted to be held, just wanted to be witnessed, and you can even ask them, what do you need right now? Maybe they need a hug. And you can visualize yourself giving them a hug. Maybe they want to. I've asked these parts of me before, what is it that you need? And sometimes what they want is to be wrapped in this like fuzzy blanket of pink love and like put on a different planet by herself, to just be alone and completely safe. And I'm like, you get that, you know? And just visualize yourself like going there and allowing that to happen. Like really utilize the imagination and let it flow however it wants to allow those parts of yourself to fully resolve and get what they need because they didn't in that moment in time where that memory happened, where that pain happened, that it didn't come to full resolution, just giving it that full resolution and that love and that compassion and deep safety is the biggest thing. Like creating safety is where all of the magic happens. And safety can look like, just visualizing holding that part of you or even holding your body and saying, "Hey, I'm I'm here with you right now. Right now, you're safe. Right now, I got you." Yeah, so it's really just learning to hold ourselves, How would
Yeah.
you want to be loved?
And it helps you to break down the armor.
Hmm.
Um, so with this note, do you have any daily practices or rituals that you find essential for staying connected and inspired?
Yeah. Yeah, meditation, but also like I love movement and dance, and that has evolved through the years. In the beginning, I was kind of like, I don't really know how to move. It's kind of awkward. But I had to get over whatever judgments I had of myself and really just let my body express in whatever way she wanted to. And it's really evolved. Like she moves in totally different ways because I just allow. See, it comes back to the allowance and the surrendering. I just allow her to move in whatever way she feels. If she feels like, getting down and funky and in the hips, and just like, I just let it rip, And that's the thing is like when we remove the judgment and the shame of our expression and just let it go, that's where the magic happens. Just full surrender and just let the body in its divine wisdom and intelligence do its thing and express how it wants to. And, getting to connect with my body in that way really sets my day up because I connect to my authenticity, my radiance, and really witnessing myself in the mirror with love, like, tapping into like, ooh, this is who I am, like feeling myself and really like starting my day that way. And who doesn't want to just feel themselves and come out just like so confident, and feeling so good. Like, yeah, I feel so powerful, so like passionate, so vibrant, you know?
You reminded me of Beyonce. I love to turn that song on when I want to
Yes,
get pumped up. I
yeah,
feel myself.
exactly. Exactly that. Yeah, there's like so much power in that when people, especially women, come back to that, like really deeply feeling themselves, that love, that power, because that's power from within. When you're
Hmm.
like owning that, owning yourself, owning your radiance, owning, you know, you, your juiciness, feeling the pleasure of just being you, there's,
Yeah.
so good. I want to see more women doing that.
And there's a certain form of ecstasy that you experience in being fully in your being. I'm currently reading a lot more on that side of psychology where they explore that. Because you can have ecstasy with sexual encounters, yes, but there's this other form of ecstasy that you can experience that flows through the entire body when you're full and in your being and you feel free. And
That
it's just so
freedom.
incredible.
Hmm.
So incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Freedom is one of my top values because I mean, once you get a taste for freedom, you can't go back, you know, to feel free to be you and then just witness. I mean, it doesn't even have to inspire anyone, but like when I see people being themselves, I like commend them. I'm like, yes, you for expressing yourself so fully and radically in the way you dress and your style out in public like this. Yes, because it takes courage, but like then we're giving other people permission to also be free. And freedom
Yeah,
feels fucking good. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels
it feels
so
so fucking
delicious. Yeah.
good.
It's so good. I can't get enough of it. And I'm just always peeling back more and more layers. How can I be more and more free? you know,
Yeah.
because there's so many, it just keeps
I,
getting better.
I remember yesterday I was feeling really free and I just jumped around.
Yes.
I had finished a meditation and my inner child, I guess, just wanted to jump. And I was just jumping around the room, smiling and just feeling free, feeling fresh, vibrant and alive. And there are so many ways that you can nurture that. One way that I really like to is when I go for runs, I stop at a playground and I play on the swings.
Yes.
You can always go for a run, you can always exercise, you can stay with your schedule and do all the adult things, have the responsibilities, but you can also just have a little space for play and fun.
Totally. And that makes such a difference. Because I mean, I think that's our inherent nature is to be in this state of play. And then, I don't know, there's this weird programming and conditioning around like, well, when you become an adult, you become serious and rigid and like you need to focus on your goals and do these things. And it's like, no, the magic is when we're connected to our play. And in play is also freedom. Have you ever seen kids? You know,
Exactly.
they're playing, they're free, and they're weird and they don't care, but they are having a blast. And that's like, I think of it as like the journey of I was free in as a child and now and then becoming an adult maybe kind of serious and rigid and now I'm coming back into like how do I connect back to my inner child, my inner play. Like I have all of the wisdom now as an adult, but now I have the awareness of getting to choose when I want to be playful, which is all the time. Like in my natural state am just so utterly playful because I don't know. It just seems boring to be any other way. And I want to just find new ways to engage with life, even life's challenges in play. Like, how can I make this challenge like playful? How can I approach it from a playful perspective? Because then it makes it more fun.
It
I'm
does.
always
It
all
makes
about the
it a
fun.
lot more fun. You're reminding me of a summit that I think we both listened to a couple of weeks ago. And they were talking about flirting, flirting with life and having that flirtation. And we both kind of discussed how we like to do that and,
Yeah.
have that little fun and that flirtiness with whatever your task you're trying to accomplish or people that you're just chatting with or engaging with, even if it's just like, oh, I'm buying this dress and just having that fun, having that little play, chatting back and forth with the person that works there and really enjoying your being and their being because having that sense of presence can really allow both parties to have more of a sense of centeredness and enjoyment and calmness.
That's some
Um,
of my favorites. When,
yeah.
when I'm in public and because that's true. Like flirtation with all of life is just an invitation to play. It doesn't have to be flirtation with the intent to seduce. It's the invitation to play. And so I'm always flirting because I love playing and always inviting people into my play. And so when I'm in public and like in the grocery store aisle and I just am playful with them, right? Like I see immediately how that changes somebody's day and like suddenly they're in such an uplifted mood, where it's like it's that little invitation to just like bring a little bit of sparkle into someone's life by just inviting them into play and being silly with them. And who knows what people are carrying. That could do so much for somebody who could be, you know, suffering so deeply. And to just bring
Yeah.
that little bit of play.
I've always liked to be that smile,
Yeah,
you know.
it's
You
such
you
a
never
gift.
know what a stranger is going through, but to just be that smile can really change somebody's day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'd like to ask, how do you see yourself impacting others in the world through your work in the coming years?
I see myself creating courses that help women. At some point, it will branch out into men. But right now, I'm feeling called to work specifically with women, with connecting to the truth of who they are. helping people come back to their light so they can shine it. Because I feel like once you start to do deeper healing work and come back to the truth of who you are, which is just love and light, you naturally want to start sharing your gifts. You naturally want to start serving and helping the world become a better place because you are doing that work within. And I feel like it's just such a natural part of the evolution as you start to
Mhm.
do deeper healing. And that's been my experience and what I've witnessed on other people, who've done that kind of work is we just, I don't know, you land in this place where it's like, okay, well, I'm doing this. I'm coming back home to more of myself. And actually, I'm feeling called that my purpose is to do this. It's almost like the deeper you go into your healing, the more your purpose becomes clear. And it may not be helping people. Maybe it's helping animals. Maybe it's helping, the environment. But it becomes more and more clear because you're coming back home to yourself, which is connected to everything. Like we're all just one. We're all connected, and
Yeah.
it's how could we not want to help each other when we come home to that realization through connecting to ourselves? And it's kind of ironic in that way, right? Where connecting to ourselves deeply connects us back to everyone else.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
so true. You have me in reflection of just different moments of that happening. Um, I've obviously been on my own transformative journey, and the work is never done. We're always continually working, we're continually improving ourselves, we're continually finding those different modalities that help us through whatever's next. And I think the real beauty in it is getting to experience those moments, to experience that, wow, this changed me, this transformed me, and now I get to share it with somebody else.
Yeah. It is such a gift. I mean, how
Yeah.
could you not want to when you experience what that feels like for yourself? Like, whoa, this was deeply transformative, and I feel like a different person. And I want other people to experience this too, you know, because it's amazing to get to feel that. It is such that's why I'm so deeply passionate about like healing and evolution because I've seen what it's done for me in my life and how I'm completely different. And it just makes everything better. Like life just continually gets better and better and better and better and better. And it doesn't stop. And I love that so much. I mean, it stops if we choose for it to stop. If we're just like, I'm not going to keep
And if
trying.
you just
We're good.
keep doing the work, you just
Yeah.
keep more fun, more play.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
More
things come
freedom.
up and you work through them, you work on them, but
Hmm.
you end up having more support. You have more options, and it's so much easier.
There's so
So
much more
much easier.
joy. Yeah. Like, who doesn't want more joy, more love, more freedom, more excitement, more passion?
I wouldn't.
You know,
I
who doesn't
wouldn't.
want these things? I love these things and value these things.
I mean, we were really brought on this earth to experience being, and one of the biggest gifts is getting to be a human.
Mhm,
So why not embrace
mhm,
the aspects of being a human? Embrace the feelings, embrace the emotions, embrace all of our intellectual capacities and the beauty that we can create with our physical being.
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
truly transformative. Thank you
yeah.
so much for sharing. Do you have any final thoughts or words of wisdom for our listeners today?
Ooh, yes. I was just about to say this. Everybody has a gift to share with the world. Everybody is a unique note in the symphony of the universe. And if you break down the etymology of the word universe, uni means one, verse, song, one song. So we're all part of this greater song, this greater masterpiece, and every one of us has a note and something to share, which is so unique to us. But that's kind of the beauty of it, right? Is like it's so unique to the individual. And when we can connect to that part of ourselves and our gifts and bring them online and then start sharing it with the world, that's where we need that. We need everybody doing that because everybody, has their maybe it's the gift could be something as like, creating art or, designing goods or building them, right? Or building stuff, right? Um, there's just so much untapped potential and beauty that I endeavor to connect people back to and bring people back to so that they can share their gifts and their magic and their beauty because that's the world that I want to live in. That's the world
Yeah,
that I'm working to endeavor to see. And I'm doing my part to create it by connecting women back home to themselves. So I hope, people listening remember that and feel that call, to start peeling back all of the layers in the way of who they are at their core and the gifts that are wanting to come through and how they're meant to contribute to the world. So that's all I gotta say.
that's all. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Crystal. You are such a gem, such a pleasure to always, every time we speak, it's such a pleasure. And I'm really blessed to have you as a friend. I'm so grateful that synchronistically aligned for both of us.
So perfect. I love you so much.
Unexpectedly.
Yeah, amazing. It was like right away, like, oh, we're totally meant to be friends. Like we're meant to be in each other's
Yes.
lives.
I would say before we close, we'll share that because that's a little bit of magic of how we actually met. Because I was at a spiritual retreat and spending time with a mutual friend of ours that in reality wasn't a super close friend to either of us. We were friends, but kind of not
Like
not
newish
like,
friends. Yeah.
not like BFF kind of closeness. Uh and he was like, "Oh, my friend Crystal's coming. Let's go meet up with her and have smoothies." And we meet each other and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna be really good friends. What is this?"
Yeah, and I love that both of us felt that like separately. And then it wasn't until like way later in our relationship that we were like, "Oh, I felt this. You felt this too." Like we just knew.
And sometimes you just know. And I think that has to do with the vibration that you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
is you, when you first started your journey, you started to learn about these vibrations. And you can be at this frequency, like maybe, when you were going through your things. I went through some depression and band-aiding with drinking on the weekends and all sorts of things. And like maybe you vibrate right here when you're going through that sort of thing. And then you start to work on yourself and you're vibrating here and you're up here. And we must have just been up here just buzzing.
Yeah, that's right.
Like attracts like, boom.
Totally. Yes. Yeah.
So, so grateful for you. And I'm so glad that we got together to record this. I am going to share some links with the episode where our listeners can find and follow your work. Could you just tell them what these are and where they can connect with you?
Yeah. Yeah. You can find me on Instagram. That's probably where I post most. And my website's on there as well, linked in my Instagram. So catch me on there. I look forward to being connected to you. And yeah, let's make some magic. Thanks so
Thank you.
much, Sammy, for having me here.
It's been
So
truly a
delightful.
gift. And in closing, I would just like to take a moment, knowing me being a yoga teacher, loving meditation and presence. let's just take a moment and we can all take a deep breath together and experience our being together. So just gently close your eyes. Deep breath, breathing into the belly. Just letting that fully exhale. Take another deep, deep breath, filling the lungs all the way up to full capacity. You might feel your chest rise. You might feel your shoulders open. Holding at that inhale. Gently sigh it all out. And you can continue that breath or just allow the breath to fall normal. And with your eyes closed, just bring your gaze up toward the forehead. And just gently sit in that space. Just feeling the peace, the calmness, and recognizing that we are all interconnected. You are here now. You always were, and you always will be. And slowly wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Return to your breath, your awareness. And just imagining roots of light through the soles of your feet. Just imagine roots growing out of the soles of your feet into the ground below you, no matter how far the ground is from you now. Just imagining those roots of light strengthening, adding to your stability as you walk through each day, whole and in yourself. And gently begin to open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for listening in to See Blissfully Lit. It's been a pleasure having you all here. If you did that practice with us, get up and dance, move around, have a little fun in your body, get back to this space. We've loved having you here.
Thank you so much, Sammy. Such a pleasure.